Hey there, fellow pigeon lovers. Welcome back to the channel. For those of you joining us for the first time, I'm Jamie, and my journey with pigeons started about 15 years ago when I rescued my first injured racing pigeon. That experience changed my life and set me on this path of natural pigeon care that I'm so passionate about sharing with you all. Before we dive into today's topic, if you find value in what we discuss, please hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you never miss our weekly videos on natural pigeon care. Your support means the world to me and helps our community grow stronger. Today, we're talking about something that affects almost every pigeon keeper at some point, trichomoniasis, or as many fanciers call it, canker. This condition can be challenging, but I'm excited to share some natural approaches that have made a huge difference in my loft over the years. Whether you're dealing with an active case or looking for preventative measures, I think you'll find some valuable insights in our conversation today. First, let's understand what we're dealing with. Trichomoniasis is caused by a microscopic parasite called Trichomonas galeni. It's important to know that this parasite is actually present in many healthy adult pigeons at low levels. In fact, some researchers believe that nearly all pigeons carry it to some degree. The problems arise when the parasite population grows out of control, overwhelming the bird's natural defenses and causing those concerning symptoms we associate with canker. This is why I approach canker a bit differently than some fanciers. Rather than trying to completely eliminate the parasite, which is practically impossible anyway, I focus on supporting the bird's immune system and creating an internal environment where the parasite struggles to thrive. It's about balance rather than eradication. So what causes this balance to shift in the first place? There are several factors that can trigger a canker outbreak. Stress is a major one, whether from racing, breeding, overcrowding, or even weather changes. Nutritional deficiencies can weaken the bird's natural resistance. And of course, exposure to higher loads of the parasite from other birds, particularly through shared drinking water, can overwhelm even a healthy immune system. Young birds are especially vulnerable because they haven't yet developed the partial immunity that adult birds have. That's why we often see canker issues in nestlings or recently weaned youngsters. Their parents can pass the parasite to them while feeding, and without mature immune defenses, the young birds can quickly develop symptoms. Speaking of symptoms, let's talk about what to look for. The classic sign that most fanciers recognize is the appearance of yellowish, cheese-like growths in the mouth or throat. These are often visible when you gently open the bird's beak and look inside with a flashlight. But it's important to know that by the time these lesions are visible, the infection is already quite advanced. Earlier signs to watch for include increased thirst, decreased appetite, and a general lack of energy. You might notice the bird sitting fluffed up and looking uncomfortable. Droppings can become looser and more watery. In young birds, growth may slow down and they might not be gaining weight as they should. There can also be more subtle changes in behavior. Racing birds might show decreased performance or take longer to return home. Breeding birds might abandon their nests or feed their youngsters less consistently. These behavioral changes often precede the more obvious physical symptoms. Now, the conventional approach to treating canker involves medications like metronidazole, ronidazole, or carnidazole. These are effective and certainly have their place, especially in severe or advanced cases. I always keep some on hand for emergencies. But there are some downsides to consider. These medications can be hard on the bird's system, particularly with repeated or prolonged use. They can disrupt the beneficial gut bacteria that are essential for proper digestion and immune function. And perhaps most concerning, there's growing evidence of resistance developing in the Trichomonas parasite, making the medications less effective over time. This resistance issue is why I've become increasingly committed to a more holistic approach, using natural remedies for prevention and for treating mild to moderate cases, saving the stronger medications for situations where they're truly needed. I've found that this balanced approach leads to healthier birds in the long run and fewer recurring issues. So let's talk about the natural remedies that have proven most effective in my experience. These are approaches I've refined over many years of working with hundreds of birds, and they've helped me reduce my use of conventional medications by about 80% while maintaining excellent flock health. Let's start with garlic, truly one of nature's most powerful medicines, and my first line of defense against canker. Garlic contains allicin and other compounds with impressive antimicrobial properties. It's been shown to be effective against a wide range of parasites, bacteria, and fungi, and it seems to have a particular affinity for addressing the Trichomonas parasite. What makes garlic especially valuable is that it works through multiple mechanisms. It directly inhibits the growth of the parasite, but it also stimulates immune function and supports beneficial gut bacteria. This multifaceted action addresses not just the immediate problem, but the underlying conditions that allowed it to develop. I use garlic in several ways in my loft. For prevention, I add 1 crushed clove to a liter of drinking water, let it steep for a few hours, then strain out the solid pieces before offering it to the birds. I provide this garlic water once a week as regular maintenance, or twice weekly during stressful periods when birds might be more vulnerable. For birds showing early signs of canker, I increase to a stronger preparation, 2 cloves per liter of water, offered for 5 consecutive days. This is often enough to turn things around if caught early. The water will have a distinct smell and slightly cloudy appearance, but most pigeons will drink it readily after a brief adjustment period. You can also add finely minced fresh garlic directly to the feed, about half a teaspoon per cup of feed, offered twice weekly for prevention or daily for active cases. I find that many birds actually develop a taste for garlic and will pick out the pieces first. One important note, while fresh garlic is most effective, it can be a bit inconvenient to prepare daily. For those times when convenience is needed, I keep garlic powder on hand as a backup. It's not quite as potent as fresh, but it's certainly better than nothing. About a quarter teaspoon per cup of feed provides a similar benefit. Next on my list is Goldenseal, a powerful herb that has both antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory properties. The active compounds in Goldenseal, particularly berberine, have been shown to inhibit the growth of many parasites, including those similar to Trichomoniasis. It's particularly effective for addressing infections in mucous membranes like the mouth and throat, making it well-suited for canker cases. I use Goldenseal in tincture form, adding about 5 to 7 drops to a liter of drinking water for birds showing symptoms. This is offered for up to 5 consecutive days. For very early intervention, I sometimes give it directly by placing 1 to 2 drops diluted in a small amount of water directly into the bird's mouth using a dropper. This ensures they get a therapeutic dose right away. Goldenseal does have a very bitter taste, so some birds may be reluctant to drink water containing the tincture. In these cases, I might mix it with a small amount of apple juice, about a tablespoon per liter, to improve acceptance. The slight sweetness helps mask the bitterness without adding too much sugar to their diet. One thing to be aware of with Goldenseal is that it's quite powerful and should be used for short periods only, generally no more than 5 days at a time. It's also becoming endangered in the wild due to overharvesting, so I always make sure to purchase from suppliers who use sustainably cultivated plants rather than wild harvested ones. Oregano oil is another remarkable natural remedy for canker. In fact, research has shown it to be effective against a wide range of parasites, including those resistant to conventional medications. The active compound in oregano oil, carvacrol, has potent antimicrobial properties that can help control the Trichomoniasis parasite. However, oregano oil is extremely potent and must be used with care. I add just 1 to 2 drops of food-grade oregano oil to a liter of drinking water for prevention, or 2 to 3 drops per liter for active cases. Even at these low concentrations, it creates a strong taste and smell that some birds may initially resist. Starting with the lower dose and gradually increasing can help with acceptance. For birds that refuse to drink water containing oregano oil, I sometimes create an alternative delivery method by mixing 1 drop of the oil with a teaspoon of olive oil, then adding this mixture to about a quarter cup of feed. This dilution makes it more palatable while still providing benefits. Like Goldenseal, oregano oil is quite powerful and best used for shorter durations, generally no more than 5 to 7 days at a time for treatment or once weekly for prevention. Using it too frequently or at too high a concentration can potentially irritate the digestive tract, so careful dosing is important. Turmeric is next on our list. This golden spice contains curcumin, which has impressive anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial properties. While it may not directly kill the Trichomoniasis parasite as effectively as some other remedies, its anti-inflammatory action can help reduce the swelling and irritation that accompany canker, making the bird more comfortable and supporting the healing process. Additionally, turmeric supports liver function, which is particularly valuable when the body is working to eliminate parasites and their toxins. It also has general immune-enhancing properties that help the bird fight the infection more effectively. The challenge with turmeric is that curcumin isn't easily absorbed on its own. That's why I always combine it with a tiny amount of black pepper, which contains piperine that enhances absorption by up to 2,000%, and some form of fat which is necessary for proper absorption of the curcumin. I prepare a simple paste with a quarter teaspoon of turmeric powder, a tiny pinch of black pepper, and a few drops of olive oil. This small amount is enough for about 4 to 6 pigeons, mixed into their feed once daily during active infections or twice weekly for prevention. The birds usually accept this readily, especially when well mixed into their regular feed. I've found turmeric particularly helpful for birds that have had recurrent canker issues, as it seems to help break the cycle of inflammation and irritation that can make them more vulnerable to repeated episodes. It's gentle enough for long-term use, making it a good choice for birds that need ongoing support. Now, while each of these herbs is effective on its own, I've found that they work even better when combined in a balanced formula. The various compounds support each other and address different aspects of the condition, some directly affecting the parasite, others supporting the bird's immune response or reducing inflammation. Let me share my go-to herbal mixture that I've refined over the years, which combines several of these powerful plants. This is what I use at the first sign of potential canker issues, and it's often enough to turn things around without resorting to stronger medications. For this mixture, you'll need 2 cloves of fresh garlic, 5 drops of Goldenseal tincture, 1 drop of oregano oil, 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric powder, a pinch of black pepper, 1 teaspoon of raw honey, optional, to improve acceptance. To prepare it, crush the garlic cloves and place them in a glass jar with a liter of water. Add the Goldenseal tincture, oregano oil, turmeric, black pepper, and honey if using. Stir well to distribute the ingredients, then cover and let sit for at least 4 hours or overnight. Strain out the solid pieces before offering to the birds. This mixture is provided in place of regular drinking water for 3 to 5 days, with fresh solution prepared daily. I've found it most effective when treatment begins at the earliest signs of potential canker: increased thirst, slight behavior changes, or minor changes in droppings, rather than waiting for more obvious symptoms to develop. For birds already showing visible lesions or more advanced symptoms, I might increase the potency slightly, adding an extra garlic clove and 1 more drop of oregano oil, and continue for the full 5 days. If I don't see significant improvement within 48 hours with this approach, that's when I consider moving to conventional medications. The health of the bird always comes first, and I'm not dogmatic about natural treatments at the expense of the bird's well-being. For prevention, a half-strength version of this mixture offered once weekly has helped keep my loft remarkably canker-free, even during stressful periods like racing season or breeding. The birds seem to develop increased resistance over time, with fewer and less severe episodes when challenges do arise. Now, let's talk about some additional supportive measures that complement these herbal remedies. These are the practices that help create an environment where treatment is more effective and recurrence less likely. Probiotics are absolutely essential when dealing with canker. The beneficial bacteria in probiotics help maintain a healthy gut environment that's less hospitable to the Trichomoniasis parasite. They also support immune function, as much of the immune system is located in and around the digestive tract. I use a high-quality avian probiotic powder added to moisten feed according to the package directions, offering this daily during and for a week after any canker treatment. This helps restore beneficial bacteria that may have been affected by either the infection or the treatment itself. Apple cider vinegar, raw and unfiltered with the mother, is another supportive addition, creating a slightly acidic environment in the digestive tract that the Trichomoniasis parasite finds inhospitable. I add 1 tablespoon to a liter of water, offering this twice weekly for prevention or alternating with the herbal mixture during treatment. Stress reduction is perhaps the most overlooked aspect of canker management. Since stress is a primary trigger for outbreaks, addressing stressors in the loft can significantly reduce the frequency and severity of episodes. This means ensuring adequate space, minimizing disturbances, maintaining consistent routines, and providing proper nutrition and hydration at all times. Speaking of nutrition, a diverse, high-quality diet rich in natural immune-supporting nutrients creates a foundation for resistance to canker. I supplement basic feed with small amounts of fresh herbs, sprouted seeds, and occasionally finely chopped dark leafy greens to provide a broader spectrum of nutrients than commercial feeds alone can provide. Loft hygiene plays a crucial role as well. Since the Trichomoniasis parasite can be spread through drinking water, I change water daily and disinfect drinkers regularly with a vinegar solution. During active outbreaks, I provide multiple smaller drinkers rather than one large one to reduce the chance of cross-contamination. Quarantine for new birds or those returning from shows or races helps prevent introducing higher loads of the parasite to the loft. I keep new arrivals separate for at least 3 weeks, implementing preventative measures during this time to address any potential issues before they can affect the main flock. Now, I'd like to share a couple of experiences that illustrate the effectiveness of this natural approach. One case that really stands out involved a beautiful blue bar hen I acquired from another fancier. She arrived looking generally healthy, but within a week, I noticed she was drinking more than usual and seemed slightly less energetic. Examining her mouth with a flashlight, I could see just the beginnings of irritation at the back of her throat. No visible lesions yet, but definitely the early signs of canker developing. I immediately started her on the herbal mixture we discussed, along with probiotics and stress reduction measures. Within 48 hours, her water consumption normalized and her energy improved. By the 5th day of treatment, the irritation in her throat had completely resolved and she was back to full health. She never developed the more serious symptoms that likely would have emerged without intervention, and the issue was resolved without conventional medications. Another memorable case involved a loft-wide challenge during breeding season when stress levels are naturally higher. I noticed several birds showing subtle signs of potential canker issues, nothing definitive yet, but enough small changes in behavior and appearance to raise concerns. Rather than waiting for clear symptoms to develop or treating individual birds, I implemented the preventative herbal mixture for the entire loft, along with stepped-up hygiene measures and probiotic supplementation. The developing issue never progressed to actual symptoms, and breeding continued successfully without the disruption that a full canker outbreak would have caused. These experiences have reinforced my belief in the power of early intervention with natural methods. By supporting the bird's own defenses and creating an environment where the parasite struggles to thrive, we can often prevent minor imbalances from developing into serious health issues. Of course, I want to emphasize that this approach requires vigilance and keen observation. You need to know your birds well enough to notice subtle changes before obvious symptoms develop. You need to be willing to act quickly when those early signs appear. And you need to be flexible enough to use conventional medications when truly necessary, without seeing it as a failure of the natural approach. I keep detailed records of my bird's health and have noticed that since implementing this natural protocol about 5 years ago, my use of conventional anti-canker medications has dropped by over 80%. The birds who do occasionally develop symptoms tend to recover more quickly and have fewer recurrences. And overall, my flock seems more resilient to stress and environmental challenges. What I love about this approach is that it works with the bird's natural systems rather than against them. Instead of simply killing parasites and potentially beneficial organisms along with them, we're supporting the body's own regulatory mechanisms, helping to restore the balance that prevents parasites from gaining the upper hand in the first place. I believe this aligns more closely with how pigeons have evolved over thousands of years. They've developed complex relationships with various organisms, including the Trichomoniasis parasite, and have natural capacities to keep these relationships in balance. Our role is to support those natural capacities rather than entirely replacing them with external interventions. I'd love to hear about your experiences with natural approaches to canker in your own lofts. Have you tried any of these herbs? Do you have other natural solutions that have worked well for you? Please share in the comments below. Our community grows stronger when we learn from each other. If you found value in today's video, please hit that like button. It really helps other pigeon fanciers find this information. And if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel for weekly videos on natural pigeon care. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Next week, we'll be exploring natural support for racing pigeons, how to enhance performance and recovery without resorting to questionable substances. Until then, I wish you and your birds the very best of health. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.